Next we'll cover the shroud removal section. We have a couple of basic tools. We use the Phillips head screwdriver on the SC916. We have a shroud removal tool, which is used for the panel rivets on the classic StairMaster. So, we'll start with the SC916. We have a series of Phillips head screws that you can access very easily. I like to remove this cover first. I don't recommend using a drill for this. You can actually damage the threads. That's not so much of a problem when you're removing the Phillips head screws, but when you're putting them back in. Some drills have a setting where you can regulate the amount of torque. If you're going to use a drill, please regulate the torque to a low level so you don't damage the threads. There are a total of 6 screws to remove the cup holder shroud. There's a couple of hidden screws when we're removing these shrouds that I'll show you. I like to keep all of my hardware together, preferably inside of the cover that you just removed. Okay, next we'll remove the main cover. There's a screw here on each side. And one here that pinches the two covers together. Then we take the last one out. And the covers come right off. After we remove the last bolt. And there we have it, the SC916 cover removal. So, now it's time to start with the 4400 CL stepper. You want to make sure and take off your console. These neck covers won't really come into play until later, so we'll come back to that. So, I'll start by removing these panel rivets down below. You can get the tool underneath of the center of this panel rivet. And notice how it comes right out. If you don't use this tool, you can actually break these. So it might be a good idea to keep some extra ones on hand if you don't have the right tool. Okay, so we've removed the 5 here in the back. We have some along each side. Here's one near the bottom. And on the opposite side. Okay. Now, we'll remove the 2 panel rivets on each side. Step on the pedals here to get them out of the way so the center shroud can come off. Just pull straight down. It comes right off. Okay. Now it's important to illustrate the 2 different types of panel rivets. As you can see, we have one that is closed on the end and one that's open. It's important to keep them separate. So as you remove them, make 2 different piles. This closed style will not go in where this open style originally was. So it's pretty self-explanatory. Okay, these lower covers might be a little tight to take off. You might need to wiggle them around a little bit just to get them to come off. But it's not an exact science. As long as you have removed all of the panel rivets, then you can be confident that these will come off. So, take off the outer one on the user's right. There we go. You have to get an angle on them sometimes, but they'll come off. Now we can see the lower section of the machine, and we'll take off the remaining neck covers. Okay, as I mentioned before, we'll have to remove the console. So what you can do is use an open-ended wrench or a socket wrench to remove these 4 bolts in the back. I like to use an open-ended wrench. This is a 7/16 wrench. After you loosen the bolt a little bit with the wrench, it comes right out. Okay, when we take off the console, we want to remove your magazine holder, set that aside, disconnect the cable here, and set the console down. The last part is easy. Just take out the remaining panel rivets. You might want to pinch the covers together so they don't fall off. And just separate the 2 pieces. Notice how the cable is attached. You can release the cable from these inserts so you don't damage it. And that concludes the cover removal section.